Hi there, Catherine Guidry here. Thank you so much for joining me for more value-based photography content to help you level up your business and create amazing client experiences. Today, we're going to be talking about the other P of photography, which is pricing. Yes, I know the first instinct when I say the word is to run and check out your competition's pricing guide to make sure that you're charging a little less than they are so that you get booked. I'm here to tell you that is not the way to go about the pricing, although it's not a bad idea to know what your market is charging. However, pricing is a lot more than that. Pricing is based on you. It's based on your own financial circumstances. It's based on your experience, the experience that you provide for your clients, how long you've been in the industry, what is the caliber of your work. Art is subjective, so you need to know, most importantly, your work, how much you're working, and so many other things before you can determine how much you're pricing. So let's dive in. The first thing that you're going to want to do is determine your base price. This is the minimum amount that you are going to charge for a service, whether that's your session or wedding day. If you're interested in reading a little bit more about how to determine your base price, I have a free pricing guide in the description below. But here's a quick overview of determining your base price that'll help you in that journey. First and foremost, you want to know your individual expenses. The reason for that is because if you are sustaining a living by doing photography or even supplementing your income, you want to be familiar with how much money you need to make. I always say that if you're not doing photography for pay, then it's a hobby, in which case that's totally fine, and you probably don't need to know this at all. But if you are trying to make a living, even a supplemental income from your photography, you need to know about how much money you need to make. Secondly, you want to determine how much you're going to be shooting, how many sessions you're going to be taking, how many weddings you're going to be taking. After you know that number, if you feel positive that you're able to reach that booking limit, I want you to take your expenses, divide it by how much you're going to be shooting, and then you have your base number. It's just a slang term to make you feel like this is the rate that I'm willing to get out of bed for. This is the rate that is going to help you pay your expenses. So the base price is very important. The base price is also what I use to base all of my math upon when I'm sending out my pricing guide. So what do I mean by that? Every single offering that I send out to a client in my pricing guide includes my base pricing and my base offering. So my base offering might be 7 hours, an assistant photographer, an online gallery, and a book. That base offering has a price, which is my base price. So in addition to having that price, I also realize that there's a certain amount of work that I feel I need to do in order to make a client happy on a wedding day. I want to know that if I'm showing up to shoot their wedding, that I'm getting the content that I need. And I personally feel like after doing this for over a decade and having shot over 500 weddings, that unless it's a very small, maybe 20, 30 person wedding or something where they don't have ceremony and full-blown reception, I need about 7 hours to create a solid wedding gallery of 700 plus photos. On top of the base price, I have an a la carte menu. That a la carte menu is full of every single offering that I can provide for a client. That might include product, sessions like an engagement session, an engagement book, a bridal session or a bridal book. Maybe it's rehearsal dinner coverage or a flesh mount album. Any product or service that I can offer to a client, I have that listed in my a la carte menu. Depending on what custom offering the client wants, if they buy more, they save more. I always kind of affiliate this with almost like going shopping at the Apple store, where you're not going to go into the Apple store and there's just one computer, right? There's going to be a mouse pad. There's all these different adapters, and when you get there, they bundle things together. The bigger the bundle, the more the savings. I take this same methodology and I apply it to my photography. So the client who books my end-all, be-all, top offering with every service and product that I provide, they are going to have a greater discount than someone who books my base offering. The discount isn't necessarily listed anywhere, although you could list it out. I don't have it actually written out anywhere that says you save $100 or you save $1,000 or however much the discount might be. But when you see the offerings together, you can sort of tell that the more you put in, the greater the savings. You can see that actually visually. So that's how I work with my base and a la carte pricing. Way back in the day, I just had one package or offering, as I do call it, and a la carte items. And the issue with that was that clients were trying to save money by not adding on anything into their offering. When I offer clients books or products or additional services, I truly believe that that will help them create a more beautiful, more encompassing service to document this special time in their lives. I want them to be able to document their engagements and have books to remember all of the special memories with. And that's why I offer these things. I want clients to have those things. So if you don't list them out, the client doesn't know that they can necessarily book them. We all know that when it comes to photography, it's not just about how long you're taking photos. It's also about how long it takes you to get there, prep your gear, come home, back up the images, all the things that you need to do in order to complete the job. All of those things matter. And so when you're thinking about your time, you have X number of hours per month that you can work and X number of jobs that you can take on. When you're taking on that one wedding job and you're shooting for 7 hours, it's really not only 7 hours. It's probably more like 40 to 60 hours when you add it all up, because you have culling through the photos and editing of the images. So many things that you have to do to actually complete the job. If you add up hourly rates for things, you have to take into consideration every single hour that you're actually putting into the job to make sure that you're covering your time and that you're allowing yourself enough time to actually complete the job. One of the hardest lessons that I had to learn in terms of pricing and just workload in general is that I had to price out my photography in a way that allowed me to sustain the work. When I was undercharging and overworking, there wasn't enough of me to be able to make everything happen. It's a true series of supply and demand. There's only one of you potentially, unless you have a team, and you want to make sure that if you're only able to work 40 hours a week, that you are really thinking of, okay, I'm going to work 40 hours a week. How much can I make? How much can I actually do to work well for my client and create the amazing experience that they so deserve? The next thing I want to talk about is creating custom offerings. I have a pricing guide that has 4 offerings included. I want to have 4 because if I have 1, then the client just has that one option. If I have 2, then I feel like it doesn't give them much wiggle room in terms of tiers or maybe what they would want to choose in between. And so I feel like 4 is a great number because they get to see the progression from the base offering all the way to that top tier. And typically people will kind of fall in the middle. Not always, but sometimes and oftentimes. When that happens, I want to be able to create custom offerings for clients if there's not something that exactly fits their needs. I realize that this is a huge point of confusion for people. They get overwhelmed and they don't know how to do the math. So I'm going to try to put this into a way that's not confusing, but if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. What I do is I never discount my base price because remember, that's your get out of bed fee, the one that you want to make sure that you're making every single time to cover your expenses. On top of that, I have a la carte items, any additional service or product that I can give to my client. Depending on how much they add into that base price, I will have a discount tier for them. The more they spend, the more they save, and the a la carte items are discounted. You want to have those tiers mapped out, have your discounts in place, and add it all up to figure out how much you should discount your client. It's as simple as that. If you need to rewind, go back and rewatch this part again, or again, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to comment below. I also do have a full 1-hour pricing course that dives all into this. Again, if you want to watch that, just visit our education shop. Okay, let's talk about another aspect of pricing, which is the payment structure. The way that we structure our payment schedule is that we have an initial retainer, which is non-refundable, a second payment that comes about the halfway point, and the final payment due 30 days out. This is an industry standard for wedding payment schedules, although technically you're able to do things however you'd like, so long as it seems to work well for the clients. My retainer fee has varied. Originally, when I started my business, I started out with a $500 retainer fee, and that retainer fee has gone up in terms of percentage of spend. So now, my retainer fee is approximately 30% of the total spend. A few words of advice in regards to your payment schedule. First and foremost, I recommend using a client management program such as Dubsado so that you're able to send the client automatic payment reminders and you never have to feel burdened about remembering when their payments are due. That can become quite overwhelming. Plus, when a client misses a payment, Dubsado will send out that automatic reminder on your behalf so you don't have to reach out to the client personally. So amazing that they have that feature. Secondly, if a client is late on payment, Maybe they forgot. Maybe they are caught up in the wedding planning and they just overlooked the payment. No worries. However, I would follow up with them after they've received the automatic invoice reminder a few times, follow up with them personally, and if you have a situation where maybe the client just can't come up with the money or needs a little bit of an extension, that's fine if you choose to honor that. However, I would withhold the images until the client is paid in full. And the last element of pricing that I want to talk about is the element around legalities. If you do not have a professional contract, I encourage you to either A, work with a lawyer and make sure that you have a solid contract in place, or if you'd like to check out our contracts in our education shop, we do offer those as well. Having a strong, solid contract protects you and the client should anything happen throughout the course of working together. In 2020, when we were met with the pandemic and all the legalities around reschedules and cancellations for weddings, we ended up having to have many conversations around pricing. We talked about pricing, contracts, retainers, refunds, reschedules, so many things, and I was so grateful that we had a strong contract in place that protected both the client and myself so that we could have those really, really amazing conversations about how we would move forward in that situation. The contract is really to protect you, especially when things are unexpected, and the pandemic was just that. And I also have no doubt that unexpected things will continue to happen in the future. I want to make sure that you have a strong, solid contract in your business so that you can do business feeling confident that you are protected and your clients are protected moving forward. Pricing is such a complex topic, but I hope that this helped to clear up some of the questions that you may have had. If you have anything that I wasn't able to touch on in this video, please feel free to comment below. Also, if you want to join in on any of our educational content, be sure to visit our shop. I look forward to connecting with you, and thank you so much for joining me today. Happy shooting. Bye.